elder co-housing to be completed in the U.S.
And you were featured on the front page of the New York Times?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the New York Times wanted to get the very first group, so they interviewed us, and we have the pictures displayed above the fireplace there.
Because none of us wanted to be in a big group. We wanted to be in a small group where we connected with people that we loved and knew. Downsizing is a very difficult process for everyone. And everyone who moved here left large houses and had to fit in very small houses. And I think that's true for everyone who ages. I don't think just our group is a problem. It's truly a problem for anyone.
Yes, I really do get credit for being the one that started Glacier Circle. A group of friends we were meeting with to talk about aging problems, but then I got the idea of really having a community.
So invited some friends of ours from the Unitarian Church.
And that we thought might possibly be interested. And we ended up with about 30 people coming to our first meeting.
One big important thing was that these were our closest friends. That women's group had been going for decades.
Well, I thought I was being a little bit selfish if I really wanted to stay in Village Homes, and Nancy was eager to get in this other community, and then if I managed to die off there, she'd be stuck in Village Homes, you see.
You just made that up.
Had a childhood fantasy based upon the way my grandfather lived by himself till he died, that I didn't want to do that in my old age. I didn't want to be isolated and lonely. And so when I heard about the plan here to develop a relationship-based community, it was just the thing that took care of my childhood fear.
One of the first people that came to our meeting was Virginia Thigpen, and she was a builder, and she brought the first co-op to the United States. In fact, it's in Davis. We consider her our fairy godmother.
What she said so often is, we just couldn't have done it without you. We couldn't have done it without you, which is an honor because they did it, and I just guided them. It is a challenge to go in and do a project that's unusual, that really has never been done before. This was the first senior co-housing project in the country. And so I think I more gave them reassurance. And maybe that's what a fairy godmother does.
And our architect really did fit the houses on the property very well, so that now that we're here, we don't feel like we don't have enough land at all.
Hi, I'm Julie Haney. I'm an architect and in Davis, California, and I designed Glacier Circle Senior Community for 12 wonderful seniors. I got involved with the project at a really special time in my life when my parents were dying, and that's such a hard thing to go through for anybody. And at this point, it made me really understand what we were all going to be facing if we lived to be old.
For instance, we got a great big round table for our common room dining hall, and there's room for all of us to sit around this one table at dinner. It makes for a much different kind of conversation than if we had 2 or 3 tables in our dining room. Now we all sit together and we have a conversation 3 times a week at dinner time.
Yeah. In addition to the 2 deaths, we've had 1 marriage, and that would be Rich Morrison, who was one of our members, and Carolyn, who was his wife now, and who is one of our best friends, and very often eats with us.
She has a lot of energy and spunk, and it's fun to have a little bit younger person as part of us.
Well, I fell in love with Rich, met him and fell in love with him, and I swept him off his feet.
Yes.
And then
Tumble.
And then he got involved with Glacier Circle, and I kind of tagged along, and I'm very, very fortunate to be part of this pretty extraordinary community.
it seemed to me that the only thing that would make us not like a real family is that we didn't actually grow up together. So I thought that if we made an effort to tell one another our life stories, that we could fill in that part, turn friendship into family.
One of the things we've done at our meetings is each of us have taken several different turns and talked about our early lives. Several of us remember the Depression, vivid memories, and we all feel so thankful to be as well off as we are here now.
I was in the infantry in Europe in the last part of the war. We'd been in England for several months before we came over. It wasn't too far from Stonehenge. I remember we saw Stonehenge.
Well, it was a real catharsis for me. It was doing something concrete that I could express myself and how I was feeling, how much I loved her. So half the quilt is light-colored patches and half of the quilt is dark. Picture, and this is one of my grandsons. That's my grandmother and grandfather. He was born in Germany in 1859 and came to the United States when he was 3, and that's his parents. And that's my daughter Robin when she was little, and this is me when I was about 4.
We have a genius with greenery. Has 3 green thumbs, not the conventional one.
You make me sound quite crazy, Ray. I've always loved gardening and flower arranging, so that's my contribution.
There's one right there, you see.
Yeah.
Every meeting we have and every dinner we have has a fresh bouquet in the center of the table.
I was part of the church group, so I happened to sit down between Peggy and Nancy after church one Sunday and asked them how the project was going. Both of them immediately thought, there's one unit that hasn't been spoken for. I was immediately taken by it, particularly by the covenant, particularly by the last sentence where it says, we will strive to treat other members as well as ourselves with loving kindness. I think a group that has this as a purpose is exactly where I belong. So I decided to join the group and been very happy here.
A bit of advice that I would give anybody thinking about a project like, provide the opportunities for people to more deeply understand their own nature in relation to other people.
Well, I think you put it pretty well. What you're trying to do is kind of create a family out of friends. It's another step of intimacy.
The only problem is we're all getting older. In a sense, that's a problem. It was going to happen anyhow.
And that's the thing we'd advise you to do if you want to start a group someday, is start a little younger than we did.
Yeah, good idea.
Because we're almost all in our 80s and nearly 90, some of us. And so we aren't going to have too many more years to enjoy this place. We wished we had started 10 years earlier. We really do.
I found myself attracted to those folks 35 years ago, and that is because they represent how I want to be 20 or 30 years from now.